We're going to look at how sailing gameplay works now, part 2 by Screep Mong. We just finished watching the navigation one. My opinions on that are going to be in the previous video that's likely been uploaded. Unless you're here in the live stream, then say hi to YouTube. And thank you, Stephen, for joining the membership. I appreciate it. AJ, we'll flip a coin for you after this video. So hopefully the computer and internet holds up, and good luck. Why can't they fix the shit skills instead? Like what? What needs fixing, do you reckon? What shit skills need fixing? And here's another thing. This is a shit take that I see a lot. Why can't they shit fix skills instead? They are. Hello Sepulchre, Guardians of the Rift, Temperos, Wintertodd, Herbie, the whole of Fossil Island in general have all been fixes on skills. Volcano, Volcanic Mine, even Motherlode Mine, Mahogany Homes, Giant's Foundry. These are all fixes on skills. What more do you want? And on top of that, there's different departments here, right? You've got content developers, you've got some departments working on a new skill and other departments working on other content for the game. So it's not like they're ignoring everything in the game to do sailing. So when you say, why don't they fix other skills? They are doing other skills. They are doing other content. This isn't their sole focus. This is 3 or 4 people's focus while the other 6 people work on something else. So you need to look at this with a bigger mindset. Because otherwise you just look like an idiot. Smithing still sucks. Giant's Foundry is great. Go to Giant's Foundry. Literally just Thieving. I swear I hate it so much. Thieving does suck. But at the end of the day, hopefully they'll do something about that. I don't know if they've done anything for Thieving yet, to be honest. But Thieving's also really quick. Is Mahogany Hands worth doing over Oak Larder? Yeah, absolutely. Shamanism would have been so much better with the new prayers. That's not even a discussion worth having, dude, to be honest.
Hello there.
Hello.
And welcome to part 2 of the Sailing Development blog.
Thank you.
I'm your host, Gnome, and today we'll be discussing the core gameplay loop and what sailing could become if it's voted in as Oldschool's first new skill.
That's important to remember, guys. It's not voted in yet, so don't get too shitty. They're just trying to develop it, and if you like it, then you can vote yes. You can sit there and say, remember to vote no. You haven't even seen the other 2 videos yet, so you have to be as unbiased as possible, and you have to give it a chance, give Jagex a chance to explain the entire concept. Otherwise, you're basically killing a horse before it starts the race. And I don't think that's fair entirely at the end of the day. If you want what's best for the game, you should absolutely listen to everything. You're welcome to have a negative opinion and not like things, but just, I think it's worth absolutely hearing it all out first. At least I didn't use cringe Blender graphics for these videos. Yeah, that's good. But I think, you know, JMods have access to a lot more than what Blender creators have, which is good.
If you missed part 1 on how navigation and movement
we did
work
not.
within
No,
sailing,
we watched that.
Feel free to check that out in full before continuing. In brief, sailing works by point-and-click movement with an altered pathing algorithm to account for the turning angle of your ship. Your boat also allows you to freely walk around it even while it's moving. Next time in part 3, we'll be covering rewards, or what you get out of sailing, while part 4 covers lore and integration, answering how the skill fits into the world of Gielinor.
So that'll be interesting because no one gives a shit about lore, right? No one cares about lore. Everyone wants rewards, so the next video is going to be good to see if we're happy with what we get from it. No one cares about lore, but we still want to see how it's integrated into the game, if it's going to have a quest, if it's going to require them to backlog XP from other quests, which I really hope it doesn't. It's going to be very interesting how they implement it and how they implement it long term.
But let's talk gameplay. What's the core sailing activity? What alternatives will exist? What makes sailing a skill? Skills all follow a basic structure, a simple, traditional core gameplay.
I just want to say, I think these videos are pretty well put together. Don't you agree? I think these videos, just as a viewer, are put together extremely well. Very good. Interesting to see how they handle adding it to diaries. Well, I think they should be updating diaries anyway and giving us Grandmaster diaries. But yeah, do they add it to base diaries already? Or do they do what I personally think is the smart thing and is not add it as a skill and add it as its own achievement diary system in general? Who knows? But that's just my 2 cents from before I saw any of these videos. Do we get bonus XP reward from reading the diary they add it to? I don't know.
Loop, plus a number of alternative activities which take the central theme of the skill and apply it to more varied and exciting experiences.
Okay.
Back in the day, a skill would release with only a core activity, while other additions were added as time went on.
Which is also something to remember. That's a very big point. People are going to see sailing and get one piece of content and go, oh, well, fuck this. but they're going to add things over time. They can't add the end, like, well, they can add the end game, but they're not going to add, you know, Fossil Island with Hunter, are they?
Thieving's core activity is simply hitting rocks, but its theme extends into other activities like Motherlode Mine, Volcanic Mine, and Zolcano. Thieving's core involves negotiating others' goods, but the skill also includes Pyramid Plunder, Sorceress's Garden, and stealing artifacts.
Well,
Sailing
the theme just involves left-clicking RD Knights to 99, but sure.
Follow the same structure. A simple core that represents what it means to sail at its most fundamental, stripped-down level. Layered on top of that will be a collection of other activities which take the theme of sailing and send it to new and compelling places. Just note that there's no intended way to train the skill. You level up by the means you find most enjoyable, whether that means quietly cruising around the mainland or diving headfirst into a brutal monster hunt. So what's the core gameplay loop? Sailing is all about interacting with various facilities on your ship, the most basic of which is fastening your sail in response to the wind. While on the water, the wind will periodically change direction, causing your sail to luff, much like a fishing spot moving or a tree depleting.
If this is going to be anything like Fossil Island sailing, I don't want it. That shit was fucking horrendous.
Clicking to refasten the sail awards a small chunk of sailing XP and makes your boat move quicker until the next shift, and even faster if you're traveling with the wind. The winds will change on a relaxed and predictable timer, meaning you can perform other nautical activities between wind shifts, or, if you're completely occupied, recruit an NPC crewmate to manage your speed for you.
Good. Slaves are good. We need slaves. Slavery is S tier. Bring slavery to sailing, because if that means I don't have to navigate that fucking ship through the wind, why didn't they mention this in navigation? Like, if you can have, like, look at this fat cunt over here to the right. His head's behind the chat box, but if you can get a slave that does the navigation for you, good. I'm all for it. You know I'm buying it. 100%.
Now, while managing your sail is the most basic core experience, many of you will be looking for more exciting ways to train the skill. So let's talk about other activities that take the central theme of sailing and use it to break new ground.
Okay.
The old school team divides non-core gameplay into categories: primary, secondary, and tertiary.
Okay.
Primary gameplay is where you train a skill in isolation outside of the core activity. If fishing's core activity is clicking fishing spots, then catching minnows is a primary activity. For sailing, we have several options, including ship racing, where you race through perilous ocean routes across the world, dodging, ramming, and blasting your way through dangerous obstacles. If you can get through without capsizing, step it up by challenging the local faction of thrill seekers in a head-to-head competition. Port tasks.
It's a bit like a more competitive Hello Sepulchre where you can actually race other players. Sounds fun, but that sounds also a bit of a chore for a core concept at least. But you know, I'll rate it for now. If you're all for slavery when it comes to sailing, are you all for slavery when it comes to other skills? Should we add familiars or automations that mine rocks or smelt bars for you? Well, we can't because they decided against taming, so not anymore.
Where you pick and choose various requests from a port's task board. These include courier tasks to run deliveries between ports, protection tasks to rescue or defend a designated vessel, and investigative tasks to hunt down a lost ship and bring its cargo to safety.
This sounds like the most fun, this activity here, because what do we have? We had protection task and the courier task. I would just get pissed off at this, because if I got to go Corsair Cove to Shipyard, I just want to charter ship it, you know? Get the gnome flight there. Why do I have to take the boat? Let me guess, the parcel's too big, but shit, man, I got 99 strength. I don't want to do that route. It might not be that bad, I guess, but the most fun sounds like the one where you go to, you know, different areas and you check out deserted boats and shit. That'd be awesome.
Deliveries between ports, protection tasks to rescue or defend.
This doesn't sound too bad, provided it's not too tedious.
And investigative tasks
to
hunt down a lost ship and bring its cargo to safety. Shipwreck salvaging, a gathering-like distraction and diversion, where you discover and salvage lucrative shipwrecks to haul in precious loot. Charting.
If shipwrecks were a part of the game that randomly spawn, whether it's on like a set predictable timer or not, kind of like shooting stars, maybe more consistent just for the sake of being able to utilize it fully, but it wasn't too broken with the rewards. Can you get fucked? I think is a pretty neat idea. I like that idea a lot. Where's my chat box gone? Something like this is really cool. I like the shipwrecks idea.
And salvage lucrative shipwrecks to haul in precious loot. Charting, a completionist activity that grants one-time XP rewards when you first document a new area's details within a captain's log, like local islands, currents, weather conditions, and encounters. And finally, naval combat, which sees you taking on dangerous enemies at sea, manning cannons, managing monsters, and maneuvering your boat. However, because naval combat is such a massive topic of its own, its inner workings won't be covered just yet.
Yeah, that's going to be very difficult, but they need to get that right. Combat is very important. Combat's the biggest part of the game, and you have one shot to get it right, because if it sucks on release, it's going to suck forever. I wish Condor was a dev for osrs. No, you don't.
Moving on, secondary activities are where sailing is mixed in with other skills, like how aerial and barbarian fishing mix fishing with hunter and strength. Now, it's important to stress that while all the primary activities will definitely feature at sailing's release, the team will be surveying which secondary activities you want to prioritize.
Cool.
If sailing passes the green light pole in Stage 5, they'll evaluate which of these could be ready on Day 1 based on your suggestions. Let's start with sea monster hunting, where you engage in a thrilling hunt through dangerous waters for mythical sea creatures in a combination of sailing, hunter, and slayer. Deep sea trawling. If you're tired of working for Murphy's haphazard vessel...
Does that mean we're going to get a new Slayer Master that's dedicated to, like, Sailing Slayer, Ocean Slayer? Kind of like you would with Wildy Slayer? Maybe?
Mix sailing and fishing to take your own ship out and trawl for exotic catches. Mineral dredging sees you blending sailing with mining to drop a weighted net and drag up precious minerals and ores from the seabed. And finally,
that's
coral
cool. That's
farming
cool.
uses farming and sailing to let you harvest from reefs and turn coral into jewelry, ammunition, or potions through crafting, fletching, and herb lore.
I like those last two a lot. I like the mining and the coral fishing idea that involves pulling up, diving, maybe into an instance that's randomly generated around different places where you can take advantage of, you know, specific quick. You got 5 minutes to do farm whatever you can in there, then dip. That's not too bad of an idea. I think that's pretty cool. Please make a really good XP. I think they need to get the XP rates right. You need strong XP rates. If you have a slow leveling skill, people are going to hate it, no matter what. But I kind of like those last two ideas for sure.
Finally, let's talk about tertiary activities, where sailing is only a small part of a much larger, more complex activity that combines many skills together.
Okay.
Please note that some of these are looking far into the future, even years past sailing's release, but are here to consider what the skill could eventually include and find out what you're most interested in. First, of course, is ship PvP, where you'll take your naval combat skills and battle with other players to sink or be sunk, to plunder or be plundered within a desert.
If they're going to do a ship PvP, it is not going to be wilderness related. It's going to be PvP like Duel Arena, Fight Arena are related, you know, where the risk is probably going to be almost nothing. The rewards might be some sort of points that you spend on things specific to your boats. That way you don't actually lose anything that you grind for your boat or for your player. There is no way in hell they're doing a wilderness-related PvP where you are risking your shit. That's not happening. It just like came to me then, kind of like sailing LMS. Yes, last man sailing. That's it. Perfect. That's the name right there. That's how they will do the PvP, I reckon. It'll be its own, like, functional, duel arena style 1v1s or group battles. And that game's success will completely be determined by the rewards you get from it. Because Fight Arena failed because the rewards are shit, because the player bases they're idiots. LMS is successful because, of course, it's fun, but also because the rewards are worth it. The rewards are good. Maybe a pirate-themed PvP where you risk? No, I doubt that's ever going to happen. You're not going to take PvP where you can get sculled and risk bank to sailing to boats. It's not going to happen, no. It'll likely be PvP between boats in its own instance minigame area, and the rewards will likely be directly related to sailing. Maybe a few rewards outside of sailing, that could be things like from LMS, like you could be able to get some arrows, ammunition, things like that, for outside of the game. But for the most part, it's likely just going to be That's what they'll do, I guarantee you. I bet that'll be what they do. The blog post they mentioned, new fish to catch, so better food. Maybe, yeah.
Designated PvP
More combo
zone.
food.
Treasure hunting, the long-awaited Clue expansion that takes you on a globe-trotting adventure primarily on water.
I'm always
aquariums, where you foster
I'm always for Clue expansions. Always. Clue Scroll expansions are always a good thing in my opinion. And hopefully this is this aquarium thing is linked to maybe expanding the Varrock Museum for once, because we've been waiting for that for fucking years.
rare coral and fish, and show off other sailing achievements. An ocean raid, where you and your friends...
This is a cop-out, Ocean Raid. Reason being is because I don't think they should have mentioned raids at all, because this is just like this is them throwing the line out to people that want a raid, and they're trying to reel you in with the guys, you're gonna get a raid with sailing, come on boys, dangling the fucking carrot in front of you. I think saying ocean raid is, of course there's potential for it, but no, I don't think they should have put it in the video. I think it's a bit of a cop-out, bit of a cheese to kind of... This sounds a bit controversial, tin hat time, but I think this is a bit too... This is kind of trying to get the fence sitters to lean towards voting yes, because there's potential for a raid. There's potential for a raid no matter what, whether this comes to the game or not. Keep that in mind. Whether sailing comes to the game or doesn't come to the game, raiding will... There's always going to be more raids coming to the game, slowly but surely. So don't use the idea of a potential sailing raid as a selling point to get you to vote for sailing. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. I just don't think that was... I don't think that's fair to throw that in there. It's my opinion.
join forces to take on a series of terrifying new bosses on the high seas.
Now, if Jagex said, hey, we're not doing any more raids unless sailing comes to the game, then of course you might want to look at playing a different game, because that'd be cunty. But yeah, they basically said sailing will offer everything and train every skill. Yeah, essentially, and I think that's okay, to be honest. I think sailing can offer everything and can train every skill, and I think that's absolutely fair, because if you look at sailing, it's not really like any other skill. And this is just based on this video and the last video I've watched. I think they can absolutely make it work, and I've been saying that from day one. I've never been the biggest fan of sailing. I don't think sailing should be a skill. But it looks like with sailing, they can offer everything that we always knew they could kind of offer. I think they can add this and it still not be a skill, and it will be fine. I think it is totally fine to do all this content, provided they perfect it properly, and not have it as a skill. And my opinion is that if it is not a skill, it is far more likely to succeed in RuneScape. If they add sailing as a concept, as its own core gameplay feature that isn't a skill, it is more than likely to be successful than it is if it's a skill. Because if it's a skill, it becomes a liability, it becomes a chore, it becomes something that needs to be balanced right when you're leveling it. Otherwise, people don't want to do it. People don't want to level construction past 84 because the skill is dead past 84. There is no need to. People don't want to level... What else is there? What other skills? People don't want to level... Well, let's look at my skills, actually, because I'm dog shit. People don't want to level mining in general because it's shit to mine. You don't need it past 85. Dude, you don't need level mining past 82, really. It's kind of stuck there. Agility, you only max that if you want to max agility. Herblore goes to 99 now, really, which is pretty fair. Rune crafting, you do it AFK passively, but 77 is kind of the limit, right? And because of the Hydra, so it's pretty much mandatory going to 99 just through XP now. But before that, there was no real need to level those skills. They just became chores past a certain point. Smithing is pretty dead, yes. So that's the problem you're going to have with a new skill regardless, right? You need to fill it with content all the way to 99, and you need to make it as... You need to keep it like with RuneScape, where it takes a long time to level a skill, where you're putting hours and commitment into the skill. But it also needs to be... It needs to not make you want to kill yourself while leveling it. Jared, thank you. Welcome. I appreciate that, man. You're a legend. So I think that's really important, which is why I think, personally, it would be better if the sailing wasn't a skill, but they threw this at us, because this is awesome. Rewarding is the word, yes. That's every skill, essentially, but some skills are much faster to level than others and less tedious than others and more rewarding than others. So, again, it will still work as a skill. It can work as a skill, absolutely. I just think it has a much better chance at succeeding if it wasn't a skill. But it doesn't need to be a minigame. Minigame is not the right word, because minigame implies it is likely to either be instanced or boiled down to a different sort of concept rather than a skill. It could have been like docks in Menopause. It could have been, yes. This could just be another way to play the game. Dungeoneering made me feel the exact same way back in the day when they added that in RS2. Dungeoneering is a little bit different. Sailing won't come into the game for so long if it's voted no. It won't come into the game at all if it's voted no, I'd imagine. But I think so far, we've still got 3 minutes left in the video. I think so far they've done, for someone who wasn't a fan of sailing, who's not a fan of sailing being a skill and preferred the other skills, I think they've done a reasonably above the average job. They've exceeded my expectations, and I knew they would because the old school team does do an excellent job at pitching content, and they've always done a great job, in my opinion, at developing the game in general. I think they've done a great job so far. And yeah, I think this can absolutely work. But I don't think it needs to be a skill. I think it would be more successful if it wasn't.
And lastly, Expeditions, a minigame where you explore new instanced islands and seas in a dungeon crawl style adventure.
That's cool.
But with all that looking forward, let's pull it back and talk about what sailing will feel like on release. Your first few minutes will include simply floating a ship at Port Sarim, mastering your navigational basics, and fastening your sail whenever the wind changes. Once you get a few levels under your belt, the seas open up as you unlock primary, secondary, and tertiary activities and gain access to boats that can handle deeper and rougher waters. At level 50, you could still be training sailing the same way you did at level 1 but with a better boat, although the more adventurous types among you will vary up your gameplay and put in some work for better XP and rewards. Let's say that I'm that level 50 sailor, with about a half-hour lunch break, so I've decided to pick up a contract to haul a load of fresh herring from Corsair Cove to Port Sarim. While it shouldn't take that long on my large Fremenic ship, I tend to get distracted quite easily.
Yep.
Once every while, the wind changes direction, so I refasten my sails to maintain full speed.
Nah, get a slave as soon as possible. As soon as you can get a slave to navigate your boat for you, send it. Don't waste your time with this navigating stuff. They said that you can get people to help you on your boat, NPCs, do it. Slavery always wins. We always want more. We should see what's in front of us now. Yeah, it's true. My face when I sailed to Conjure and there's a courier task to take some of the locals to Sears Village, Flaxfield. That's funny. I like that.
And get some XP, but it's pretty light work. And even at my lazy pace, I throw in a few high hawks to pretend I'm efficient. As I approach Cramda's shores, I pass a player she's trawling for fish, another who's charting these waters for the very first time, and some seasoned sailors on the trail of a lengthy monster hunt. As I near Temperos Cove, I cross a happy little crocodile floating about, a rather fortuitous event.
He's a big boy.
As I just finished arming my ship with some new toys. Next, I'm about to pass Mudskipper Point and enter Port Sarim when I notice a couple boats clumped together around a shipwreck that just spawned, so I swing by with my salvaging crane to join the plundering. After the salvage is complete, I finish the last leg of the journey by riding into Port Sarim, delivering my cargo and earning a healthy chunk of XP and perhaps some new rewards. Now we've mentioned a couple ship features already, so let's talk about ship
It's a bit like a temple trekking idea, but a bit more open water, isn't it? Like open world, rather than being stuck on a set path that is automatically navigated and you have events. You would just kind of navigate, you'd just head there yourself, right? You'd manually go all the way and you would decide whether you want to interact with shit on the way or just go straight to the courier. I see what you mean. I admit I didn't dive into the meat and bones of the new pitch skill, but I was rooting for Shamanism. That's understandable. People are going to have that. What's up, Cortel? Imagine they had an agility course on the boat so you could do lats while navigating. Yeah, if you get a big enough boat.
Optimization. Your first ship won't have much to it, but as you level up, you'll be able to get better and larger vessels and use other skills like construction and crafting to upgrade them and add new facilities, much like your
Panic by planks, boys. Planks, molten glass, and steel bars are going to be essential in the next 6 to 12 months, so buy them now.
player-owned house. Ship upgrades are simple, linear improvements like bronze to rune or normal logs to redwood. These include hull upgrades, which improve your ship's
Big fan. I'm a big fan of anything to do with redwood because redwood is such an underutilized log. We need redwood planks in the game already, which can overlevel our construction, and we need redwood boats. Absolutely.
health and defense, and allow passing over dangerous reefs. Better sails to increase your speed and luff less often. And higher quality rudders to help with turning speed and allow perpetual movement. On the other hand, Facilities are the tools of your vessel and are buildable like POH hotspots, with larger ships being able to carry more of them. The
I like
teams
that.
divided these facilities into 3 categories. Weapon facilities like ballistic,
Can you own multiple ships? Like, can I have 2 colossal ships?
Cannons.
Sorry, 2 colossal ships, one for fucking shit up and the other one for fishing. Where do I store these ships? Are they stored at a port, then I just pull one out? How many boats can I have? Do I can I only have one of each size boat and then one, the smaller ones for fishing, big ones for combat and stuff? I don't know.
or rams. Utility facilities like personal ship-wide storage, a range for cooking, a salvaging crane, or a crow's nest for scouting ahead.
Can we get a bank chest on a boat? Because then I'd never need to leave the sea. Cool if it was like a higher tier skill that makes things like fishing, slayer, crafting, construction, all one mega skill, sort of like invention, you think? Not so much for a skill like this, no, I don't think so. Seems like such a chore. Well, so is agility.
And skilling facilities, like a fishing station, a weighted net for mineral dredging, or a hunter's harpoon. And of course, all of these are outside the potential cosmetics you could use to outfit your ship and sail. Now, you probably have many more questions on the gameplay and customization elements of sailing, but for those, I'll direct you to the full blog post in the description. As we come to the end of part 2 of the Sailing Dev blog, look for us again in another few weeks for part 3, Rewards, where we discuss what exactly you get from the sailing skill.
I think so far these 2 videos have done a good job at showing the skill. I'm looking forward to the rewards blog, so when that comes out, if you guys can let me know so we can watch that as well. I think I stand by my statement earlier that sailing doesn't need to be a skill to be in the game. I think it would be more successful if it wasn't a skill, but I don't think it's going to fail. I think combat is very important when the way they handle PvE combat and navigation through combat in general is going to be very important, and that's going to really sell the majority of the skill to the players, or the skill to the majority of players, sorry. I think they're heading in the right direction when it comes to keeping the skill active and having a lot of different ideas so that you're not going into the skill. A lot of people might think, it's just like doing every skill together, right? But you're going into sailing knowing that you have the opportunity to do fishing, do what are they called, couriers, doing things that are similar to shooting stars. What are they called again? Except it's like a boat, a shipwreck. You have the opportunity to do underwater farming and some diving, rather than fishing. You're just fishing until you get to Temperos, and then guess what? You're just fishing and cooking. Wood cutting, you're pretty much just cutting woods all the way to cutting wood all the way to 99. Sorry. So I think while this skill is going to rely on leveling other skills to make it enjoyable, I don't think that's a bad thing, because a lot of the skills you're being able to level through it are pretty boring skills. Like this is going to be a buff to other skills. Right? This is going to be a buff to fishing, a buff to farming, a buff to agility, buff to possibly mining and wood cutting, purely because you'll now have another way to train it. And if you enjoy sailing, the more sailing you do, the less fishing you've got to do when you stop sailing. It's a cop-out though. It can be a cop-out, yes, but how else would you do a skill like this? Do those other skills just an excuse to justify this is a new skill? Well, that's why I think, would it feel like a cop-out, Steamed Hands, if it wasn't a skill, if they just added sailing as its concept? Is it purely because this is a skill itself that it makes it feel like a cop-out? Because I'm with you on that, 100%. That's how I feel. But I don't think it shouldn't be successful because of that. Just release forestry, 2 weeks. I feel like if they just gave us sailing, it would feel less of a cop-out for sure. But I don't think that means it's going to fail. Or I don't think that means it's a bad thing at the end of the day. I definitely would prefer it to not be a skill at this rate. Because you don't need to remove the content then, right? And then you still have space for a new skill. Like the idea of selling as a concept, but still excited either way. Yeah, I think just having it as a skill just makes it feel like it's going to be a bit of a chore. So until it comes to the game, we're going to have this kind of ick about it, right? But outside of that, I think if you just forget the fact that selling is a skill for a second, the content they've got on offer, I think, is good. I think. But it also depends on how they implement it as a skill. If sailing is pretty quick to level and it doesn't feel tedious, it might not be too bad, you know? The skill needs to be, sailing itself, regardless of what you do or what you get out of sailing in terms of rewards and other skills, sailing itself, leveling it, needs to not feel like a chore. It needs to not feel like you're putting in so much effort just to get a bonus 30k fishing on the side and a couple thousand, you know, GP as well with every level, you know? So it needs to have a fine line, and I think by doing that, sailing needs to have some really good XP rates. How you get those XP rates, it depends on how they go about leveling it, but I think the XP rates need to be considerably high. This needs to be one of the fastest skills to level, I think. One of them. And I don't mean comparing it to fletching where you can buy your way to 99. So I mean in terms of like, if you were an ironman, you can level fire making really quick, right? You can get 99 in a week. I think those sort of XP rates are a bit too extreme. 400k XP now, not that much. No, I think once you hit level 50 onwards, like the mid area, I think looking at triple digit XP per hour is perfect. For sure. I think 100 plus, 200k might be the limit, I'd say. You don't want to go over 200k because you don't want to blast it off the map. But you want to be able to absolutely smash a skill out like this because you're going to use it still even when it's maxed, right? If fishing on boats is fun, if farming on boats is profitable and fun, you're still going to go sailing and do farming, right? Kind of like Herbal, you can get 200, 300k an hour, but you need to grind first. Yeah. Kind of like construction, you can absolutely blast that out, but it's going to be expensive, and you need to get the levels first. But once you do, you can just fucking steamroll that skill. I think this needs a similar sort of pace. Otherwise, it will absolutely suck. It will. You can't lock content behind level 70 and take 4 weeks to get to level 70. I think. Similar XP per hour to smithing, Giant's Foundry smithing, not Blast Furnace smithing, I would say. I think that's good. And that's like once you hit the level 50 beyond mark, you know? Fishing mining needs 90 to 100k at least. They do have those methods. The problem is it requires tick manipulation or teamwork at Volcanic Mine. So I think a Wintertodd rate to 99, maybe slightly slower than Wintertodd rate to 99 would be perfect. I think. What's up, Jessica? How are you? That's my opinion. That's what I think anyway. Let me know what you think as well. I'll upload this video and everyone can, you know, pitch their idea in the comment section. But that is the sailing blogs for now, guys. Thank you for watching. We're going to load up the Hardcore Ironman. This is the easiest room in the raid. It's quite simple. You got a big boy. Look at him. God damn. Fuck me. Look at that boy. It's huge. You got a big boy.